ॐ नारायणः परो व्यक्तात् अण्डमव्ययसम्भवम् अण्डस्यान्तस्त्रिमे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. We have been looking at the 2 verses 50, 53, 52 and 53, and wherein Lord Krishna tells, who does he tell? Arjuna, of course. What does he tell? He tells Arjuna that to have this self-knowledge, there must be some kind of a demeanor, an emotional demeanor, the kind of a maturity without which this knowledge will not come. This is what has been talked about. And in 52 and 53. So, what is this demeanor? Demeanor is to withdraw from the penchant of this, of engaging in this world needlessly. We can say that. Certain engagement we cannot avoid. You have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to go to work. All these things are there. And we are not here, we are not talking of here, Lord Krishna is not giving the uh, education for a sannyasi. Arjuna is very much a married man. In fact, he is about to fight the battle. So we cannot say that excuse is already crossed out. What's the excuse? Oh, this is not for me, this is for sannyasis, and I don't have to do this. I can't do this. This must be for sannyasis. This is drastic Vedanta. Somebody told me this. I just want light, Vedanta light, not drastic Vedanta. So, but here that argument is shut down faster than the balloon that was flying, Chinese balloon that was flying over the states. It's shut down. Why is it shut down? Because this is Arjuna is the recipient of this teaching, and he is about to fight a battle. And if he is being told, you know what, withdraw the mind from needless engagement. And when you do that, Arjuna, Lord Krishna says, something interesting happens. And what is it that happens? The mind first, kicks, cries, screams, because it is addicted to this engagement. Always we want to know what is happening somewhere else. Somebody else's life is much more interesting. And that's why we have reality shows on TV that are doing much better than any other fiction. Because other people's lives become our fiction, our life becomes other people's fiction. This is the world we are living in, and yet we don't even talk to each other. Alienated, disconnected, but yet we want to be a voyeur. Voyeuristic interest in everything that's going on. And this, he is told, is dangerous. And why is it dangerous? It is dangerous because of because the demeanor that we are talking about for self-knowledge, it's going in the opposite direction. A demeanor that's being built up is just like someone who has a finger in all the pies and then doesn't have enough of a weight. A person must be weighty inside. Weighty inside means there must be a kind of a grounding, centering in oneself. And even though that's hard to explain in words, I think everybody knows what is being talked about. Century. You are full of yourself in a nice way. And so these distractions and these needless engagement in the world, with the world, the source of it is important to see. And what is the source of it? You can say it's a catch-all source. Raga and Dvesha, strong preferences and prejudices. If you were to say that, you would be correct. You would be correct. Absolutely. So there is an agenda. There is something that is there. And even if the agenda is just that I cannot look at my own life because it is too painful, that itself is a dvesha. That itself is a distaste to have some introspection. Introspection is not welcomed, generally speaking, because one has to face some hard truths, difficult to digest truths. One has to face one, and which one does not like, which one resists all the time. And so, therefore, this this frittering away of the self, and here we are not talking of Atma. The definition of Atma is that which cannot be frittered away. Here we are talking of just this, the I notion here. Ahankara is given away to all kinds of pursuits. You are not with yourself. The heart is given away to unavailable people, disinterested people. At least if you, put your attention on people who can love you back, it's a different thing. But here, the heart is given away to people who cannot, who don't even care that you exist. And here, I'm not just talking of romantic love, I'm talking of all kinds of attention. This is how the human tendency is. And anything that is good for you, one doesn't want to. Anything that is good for one does not want to go near it. And as Puja Swamiji always liked to say, whatever you love is either illegal, immoral, or fattening. Too many calories it has. This is the predicament. And so here Arjuna, in almost a last bit attempt by Lord Krishna, is being brought back to himself. Is being brought back forcefully to himself and is being told, you know what, you need to do this. You need to come because you yourself are asking, when will I abide in this knowledge? Well, first start abiding in the I that wants this knowledge. Even on the relative level, this ahankara that is given away to various pursuits and distractions, bring it back. And so, this one, the Bhashya for 53, is very straightforward, except in one particular respect, and that we will spend some time looking at it. So, Shruti Pratipanna, and we saw how the Bhagavad Gita uses the Veda the first portion of the Veda as a distraction, because the first portion of the Veda addresses Raga Dveshas, and its sole purpose is Raga Dvesha fulfillment, at least it would seem on the outset. But through this Raga Dvesha fulfillment, it is hoped that one would get sick of it and then come to the last portion of the Veda, i.e. Veda. So, but if one doesn't get sick of it, desire fulfillment, and one keeps on indulging in this, then this knowledge is very far away from. This is the idea. So, Shruti with Pratipanna, scattered by the Shruti. Scattered by the Shruti, not Shruti as in Vedanta, Shruti as in various pursuits and agenda. That's the idea. Aneka sadhya sadhana sambandha prakashana shrutibhi. So, what is this Shruti is explained very nicely by Bhashyakara. Aneka, many. Sadhya, things to be gained. Sadhana, the various practices to gain them. What a waste of time, because if you look at the list of wants and how to get those wants, by the time you get a headache first. Before you get the want, you get a headache, which you don't want, and then after that you traverse through all this, and somehow you get what the object of want, and then what? It goes away after a little time, which is finite. So much emphasis for finite ends and finite means. So aneka, many and varied. Sadhya means many and varied ends. End is called sadhya. And then practices to gain those ends, sadhana. Don't think sadhana is just sitting in meditation. That is that is the indirect means to for moksha, to calm the mind. That is the thing. And then but here sadhana means, how to oppress somebody and get my way, how to off somebody so that I can become famous, how to stand on the backs of other people and get my way and then not even acknowledge them. These are the sadhanas. All these kinds of samsaric acrobatics. It's a new phrase. I like it. Samsaric acrobatics. One is practicing. So one is on the one is on the beam, walking on the beam. And what is the beam? Beam is I want to beam. So therefore, I'm doing this. They're doing this very interesting practice. This way, that way, I have to balance and go. And then I swing. And those swings are there for gymnasts. And what is that swing? I swing from nerve to nerve in other people's heads. And then I make myself very distasteful because of the way in which I am pursuing this agenda. So, aneka sadhya sadhana sambandha. Sambandha means the relationship. What relationship? Between the sadhana and the sadhya, of course. What other relationship is there? So, the relationship between the practice and what it will get, that also has to be hyped up. Otherwise, how do you follow? How do you know that in order to gain a particular end, you have to adopt a particular means? Because the means are also advertised. I mean, if you look at all the advertisement, the means are advertised. The end is advertised. This is what will happen. And the means are advertised. But then the connection between the means and ends also have to be advertised. I mean, if you look in the television these days, there is all these pills that are being pushed, medical things, and then it will tell you a whole lot of side effects. You know, people have reported tremors, and people have reported, 1 in a million will have brain tumor, and then this, if you are, these are the contraindications, then ask your doctor about it. And here it's all upside down. The doctor is supposed to tell you, but here you are supposed to ask the doctor, because for the few that this works, and the person who is usually it's for this arthritis pain medicine. I don't know why this arthritis is chosen, but because it hampers the daily movement, I suppose. And so then you see the person first, with a cane and not and all, just in a blue mood, because they're not able to do anything. And then after that, you see them jumping around and throwing, basketball in the hoop in their backyard, and then with the skip in their step. You see that. So this is how it should be advertised. This pill is the end. Pill is not the end. The pill is actually the means. But the pill is first advertised as the end. And then it is a means to get rid of your pain, to get rid of this debilitating, terrible disease, autoimmune disease, how to, not to get rid of it, to manage it basically, and to get rid of the pain associated with it. You can be pain free for the whole day. This is the end. The pill is the means. But then what is also advertised is what happens to you after taking the pill. When it works, what happens? And so therefore this is this is the so there is no point in listing the means and ends separately. You also have to list the connection and the relationship between the two. Prakashana means that which the means and ends are lighted up because of the relationship between the two. So prakashana shrutibhihi, shravanaihi, shrutibhihi means by the various first portions of the Veda. The various first portions of the Veda, all of them talk about this. And then you hear about this through the hearing, shravanaihi, through the hearing of it, vipratipanna, scattered, Nana Pratipanna, Shruti Vipratipanna. And then scattered means what? Vikshipta Sati. Vikshipta. Vikshipta means scattered. The buddhi is scattered. The buddhi is not with you. The faculty that makes the decisions. Your intellectual faculty is not with you. Oh, where did I leave my buddhi? you, you left the buddhi in the pain pill. The part of the buddhi is given to the pain pill, how to get it, what to do, and part of the buddhi is somewhere else. It is scattered through, it is scattered in the obsession of various means and ends and the connections between the two, which are lighted up constantly by advertisers. And here the greatest advertisers of Ragadvesha is the first portion of the Veda, which needs to be shunned. Arjuna is told, if you really are serious about this knowledge, so that what happens? The brain is fried. In Hindi, it is called bheja fry. So the brain is literally fried, and then so vikshipta. That's why one is always exhausted. You ask the person, anybody you ask, oh, I'm so tired, and it is a physical exhaustion also, but primarily the exhaustion is in the mind. It's a mental exhaustion. And so, Vikshipta Sati, and the Sati, the E is long because it is for Buddhi, feminine. Vikshipta Sati, Te Tava Buddhi. Your Buddhi, not mine, not anybody else's, says Lord Krishna. Your Buddhi is fried, and when this Buddhi, Yada Yasmin Kale, during which time Sthasyati, it stays. Stays means what? Sthiri bhuta bhavishyati. When it will become stable, unmoving. And he says that Nishchala. Nishchala means Sthiri bhuta. Sthiri bhuta means Nishchala, unmoving. Vikshepa chalana varjita sati. Very beautiful bhashya here. Vikshepa varjita buddhi, chalana varjita buddhi. A distraction-free mind is buddhi I'm using interchangeably. A distraction-free mind and an unmoving mind. What's the difference between the two? Well, maybe I'm free of distraction, but then the mind is moving, is unfocused and moving all over the place. And that is a problem. Definitely that's a problem, isn't it? Yes, that's a very, very big problem. So the mind is moving all over the place. And why is it a problem? Because it is a precursor to Vikshipta Buddhi. It is a precursor to the second. So first it is unfocused and it's moving everywhere, and then it is scattered. So therefore, he's talking about it step by step. Bhashyakara describes it step by step. Viksheparahita and then chalana varjita sati. So when that happens, sati means it's a conditional situation. When that happens, then what? You are in samadhi. Oh, samadhi! I always wanted to be in samadhi. This is not the kind of samadhi that we are talking about in the Yoga Shastra, although I must say that it is not contradicting that samadhi that is talked about in the Yoga Shastra either. So then, what is this samadhi? Very nice. So samadhiyate chittam asmin iti samadhihi. Atma tasmin atmani iti etad evam. This is just fascinating. We referred to this in the last week, but then he says samadhiyate chittam. Chittam means the emotive faculty. In fact, the whole mind, buddhi, ahankara, everything. Chittam is just the upalakshana for all of them. And so samadhiyate chittam asmin. Asmin means in this, the whole mind is resolved. So where is the mind resolved? Where does everything resolve? That is the counter question to this question. Where should the mind resolve? The mind resolves where everything resolves. Well, everything resolves in the Atma. Bingo. Mind also resolves in the Atma. Where else will it resolve? So, samadhiyate chittam asmin iti samadhihi atma tasmin atmani. So, in that Atma, in that I, which is the in which everything resolves, out of which everything comes, by which everything is sustained, that is the Samadhi. So basically, resolving the mind into the I. That is Samadhi. Means being focused on the truth of the I as that which is beyond the means and ends, that which is beyond the ragadveshas, without which there are no ragadveshas, that which upholds all the ragadveshas, means and ends, and the connections in between, which are lighted up, but that which is free of all of them. That is where the ultimate resolution has to take place. And this is both in a very strange way, it is both the prerequisite and the outcome of self-knowledge. So, relatively speaking, it is a prerequisite where the mind comes to a place of stillness thanks to the practice of meditation and thanks also to the study of Vedanta. But this relative stillness gives way with the culmination of, with the assimilation of the knowledge, the relative stillness gives way to absolute stillness. And that, the person of knowledge, that whereby the person of knowledge recognizes. What does the person of knowledge, self knowledge, recognize? The person of self knowledge recognizes that it's all just me, and that I, in which everything is resolving, is free of all the things which are resolving in myself. That is the recognition, that is the staying power, that is the assimilation. So both the means and the end are given. So relatively speaking, calming the mind and calming the emotions, calming the buddhi and making it stay is a practice on the relative level, which comes naturally for a person of self knowledge. For a person of self knowledge, that is the abidance. There is no practice there. There is no practitioner, no practice, and nothing separate from the person there. Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The person abides as Brahman. Even previously, the person was Brahman. Now the nirasana, the removal of self-ignorance about this fact has taken place. That is the idea. So, if you look at the Yoga Sutra's definition of samadhi, it is Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha, the second Yoga Sutra. First one is Atha Yoganuशासनम. Second one, Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. So the stopping, the cessation of all the vrittis means thought formations in the chitta, in the place where the emotions arise, means mind. So this is the definition. A very tall order. But then it has to be looked at very, very carefully, because otherwise one can come to a conclusion that if I stop thinking, I have samadhi. All I have to do is stop thinking. There are many ways to stop thinking. Go to sleep. That is the best and the easiest way to stop thinking, is to go to sleep. And you just immediately fall asleep. Then what? Nothing. That's, you are in samadhi. So, but obviously that's not the case. So the cessation of thinking is a very surface level reading of this sutra, which is actually very, very deep. Here it means that there is no disturbance from the chittam in the form of thoughts attached to the various raga and dveshas. The chitta is with the Atma, and the Atma doesn't think. The Atma represents a total cessation from any activity, including mental activity. So this is the samadhi that one is talking about. And the person does not have to be seated in a particular half lotus or lotus pose and then with the chin mudra on the lap. One doesn't have to be doing that. One can be Going, eating, drinking, sleeping, waking, cooking, cleaning, working, resting, doesn't matter. Still one is in samadhi. That is the samadhi of the Bhagavad Gita. And that is what, how is one still in samadhi while doing this, all these activities which necessarily, require a subject-object split? How can one be in samadhi? Samadhi means that subject-object fusion is there. There is no split in this between the subject and object. So how can you say that you are in samadhi when you are eating a a square meal, four dishes? What is that called? Something, four dishes meal. You're eating that course, yeah, four-course meal you are eating. And then how can you say that you're in samadhi? Because the I is nishchala, the buddhi is nishchala. There is the abidance in the knowledge that I am not the doer, I am not the drinker, I am not the eater. The motions are happening, illumined by the Atma. Illumined by the Atma, the motions are taking place. I am unmoving. And because I am unmoving, these motions these movements are sensed. I am neither the movement nor its sensor. I am neither the drinker nor the eater. So Navadvare Pure Dehi Sukhan Aste Naiva Kurvan Nakaryan. Bhagavad Gita will later in the 6th chapter talk about this. Pashyan Shrinvan Swapan Shvasan Pralapan Visarjan Grinhan Unmishan Nimishan Api. So even though one is doing various activities, Naiva Kurvan Nakaryan Sukham Aste. So the indweller, the I, who has been blessed with the light of this knowledge from the Guru, is unmoving, and everything is, here we bring in our famous phrase. What is that? As though. As though drinking, as though sleeping, as though waking, as though acting, as though angry, as though hungry, as though hangry, as though, all the way as though. But this is backed by the knowledge of Vedanta. This is the samadhi. So that but how is the subject object fused? Subject object need not be fused, because one knows that the I is that which effortlessly morphs into projecting itself as the subject and the object without being either. You don't have to literally fuse the subject and object. This is not two vertebrae that are, herniated disc or something like that. That you do fusing. But here you don't have to fuse. There is no fusing involved. And it is not confusing either. It is to understand. It is to understand that the subject is I, the object is not away from I. The I is the one that effortlessly, simultaneously, because it is limitless, lends itself to appear as the object and to appear as the subject without being either. That is the understanding. This is samadhi, according to Adi Shankara, according to the Shastra, Vedanta Shastra. And I don't know what we would do without Adi Shankara, such a beautiful definition here. And so this is what, samadhiyate chittam asmin iti samadhihi atma, he says. And this tasmin atmani, in that I which is free of being subject, object, free of being desirer and object of desire, free of being the practitioner and the practice, everything is lighted up by Atma and upheld by Atma, but Atma is not any one of them. Achala means tatrapi vikalpa varjita. So free of divisions. This is the division we have already talked about. Free of these kinds of division, iti etat buddhihi, he says, you don't take it just as the faculty of the intellect. Buddhihi iti antahkaranam, the inner instrument. Mind, buddhi, chittam, emotive faculty, indecisive faculty, decisive faculty, and the ahankara that is in tow. All of them. Here is which are given to various ends and means and their relations, which are very conflicting, then so this wandering in these diverse various directions. And when you are able to resolve all this in the I, without distractions and doubt, first as a practice, through the concentration of the mind, while listening to the Shastra and during meditation, and then tada, at that time, tasmin kale, yogam avapsyasi. Yoga here is viveka pragyam. Samadhim prapsyasi. So you will get a relative samadhi, that which is enjoyed by people all the time. You will get a relative samadhi when you meditate and when you pursue the study of Vedanta. Why? Because you're not complaining, simple. And so the modern the modern definition, the contemporary definition of samadhi is whenever you are not complaining, you are in samadhi. This is fantastic. Whenever you are not complaining, where are you? Samadhi. Madhav, I'm in samadhi, which is very nice. So be in samadhi as often as possible from this new definition. Bhagavan Krishna is saying, why? Because it doesn't matter if you are in samadhi or not. If you stop complaining, it's a great samadhi for others around you. They don't have to hear your complaints. They are in samadhi too. See, one little samadhi, it goes all the way. So this is the fun part. Okay. So tada tasmin kale. Avapsyasi yoga. Yogam avapsyasi. Yoga means union. What kind of union? Union with your viveka. That is the union. Union with your wisdom. That these are not the things to be pursued. Viveka prajnam samadhim prapsyasi. Prapsyasi. And then, of course, this is a the Lord Krishna has opened up a big box. What is the box? Samadhi box. So first time the word samadhi is being used by the Bhagavad Gita. A point that is to be noted, and a point that is going to be noted by Arjuna, because perhaps there was a little tea break in the battlefield. And so a little ceasefire and a tea break was ordered, and the chai wala came to the chariot, and Lord Krishna was having a sip of chai too for his parched throat. After all, he's been talking for almost 2 chapters. He has been talking, and then so he just stopped just briefly. And Bhashyakara says, Arjuna leaps into this gap and then immediately asks a question because he can. And why can he ask a question? Because, hello, this is not a belief-based tradition. Yes, you will get samadhi. Nobody says that and goes away. It's not that you will get samadhi. What do you mean you will get samadhi? How? So all this is very much very much the problem. And so therefore, this is not a belief-based tradition. Questions are welcome and questions are needed. And without questions, how are you going to understand? If the subject matter is something to be understood, then questions are very, very welcome. Without questions, you cannot do anything at all. And so therefore, Arjuna leaps into the question. And here's the segue to the next verse. Prashnabijam pratilabhya Arjuna uvacha. Prashnabijam means he had a little space. Prashnabijam means the seeds of the question were already there. In the last mantra, so in the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, the seeds of the question were already there. And Arjuna pratilabhya, having got those seeds, Arjuna uvacha, Arjuna said, Labdha samadhi prajnasya lakshana. Lakshana bubhutsaya. So, labdha samadhi prajna. This is a compound. So, labdha samadhi prajna means by whom has been gained the wisdom and the samadhi. The wisdom and the non-distraction, the wisdom and the resolving everything into the I has been gained, that wisdom. So this samadhi prajna, so the knowledge of this samadhi as the I, as the truth of everything, that which has been gained. So it's not samadhi and prajna, it is the prajna of the samadhi. Samadhehe prajna. Samadhi prajna. So samadhehe prajna labdha. Yena. By whom? The wisdom of what this samadhi really is has been gained. So lakshana bubhutsa. Bubhutsa. Bubhutsa means bodhum ichha, the desire to know, desiderative formation. Bodhum ichha, bubhutsa. So bodhum ichha means the desire to know. And the desire to know what? The lakshana. Lakshana means the characteristics. What is marking such a person, by whom has been gained the wisdom of this samadhi as everything resolving in the I? What will that be? So bubhutsa, we have all these desiderative nouns which are a lot of fun. So it is the same species as mumuksha. The desire, what is mumuksha? Moktum ichha, desire for freedom. Jignasa, jnatum ichha, desire for knowledge. And then bhubhuksha. Bhubhuksha means desire to eat. Bhoktum ichha, bhubhuksha, not to be confused with bhubhutsa. Bhubhutsa, bodhum ichha, the desire to know. Okay. So, because the desire to know and the desire to eat sound very similar, perhaps in perhaps in keeping with the human mind. Okay, yeah. So maybe there is a connection. So then, so Arjuna raises a question. Very famous set of verses are coming up. Very beautiful also. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha समाधिस्थस्य केशव स्थितधीः किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम् स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्थस्य केशव स्थितधीः किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम्. Arjuna has never seen a person of knowledge, or so he thinks. So it's like going to the zoo. And when you go to the zoo or some kind of animal sanctuary, you want to know what is it that you are looking at. You want to know, okay, some kind of a animal, some kind of a bird is there. A very rare bird is there in this sanctuary. And then you want to know what is its habitat, how does it eat, how does it do, because I want to know all about it, because I've never seen this kind of a bird. So what does it do? In other words, how do I recognize this kind of a thing? There should be some brochure with a photo of this bird, and then so I know how does it nest, what does it do, etc. How does it nest? And they're all in these practices. There is the shining, what is that called? The shining intelligence, the knowledge of Ishvara. In the Bahamas, there is one parrot. Okay, and usually parrots are found on trees, but this parrot has like a groundhog has had this practice of burrowing inside the ground, laying eggs underneath the ground. A very unbird-like practice. Usually birds are high up. But then if you look deeply into the habitat of this parrot and why it decided to evolve in this particular way, whereas other parrots still continue to live on trees. Well, there is a reason for this. This particular island where this parrot is found apparently has had a great history of what is that called? Forest fires. And so the trees would all be burnt up and its babies would become omelette. And so therefore it wanted to go to a safe place. And that's how it managed to survive. Now the island, you like that joke? Okay, good. So now that island is very much has changed and is not is not given to fires, and that habitat of the parrot now is very endangered because it's lunch for the foxes and everything. And so therefore when you look at the habitat of this bird and everything, you get so much, you are really in touch with Ishvara. It's just amazing how much they just want to survive and how ingeniously that knowledge of Bhagavan makes them find very innovative ways of defying all the odds. So then, so like this, if I want to know something which is rare, like the Bahama parrot, or something like this, it's very, very rare. Abaco parrot, it's his name. And then so it's very rare. I want to know what does it do? What does it eat? And then if I have my binoculars, what does it look like? How does it move? So that I don't confuse it with some other parrot or with some other bird. And so this is again the catch and conquer mentality of objectifying things. With that same mentality, Arjuna is approaching a person of knowledge. The person of knowledge is the endangered species here. Does he or she burrow in the ground? Or will I find her or him in the treetops? What kind of an enclosure? Will it have a deer skin where the person is sitting? Will it have a kamandalu? And will it have this? And will it have that? Okay, what does this endangered species eat? Should I put some bird seed? Okay, come on, let me lure this bird out so that I can look at it and I can take notes and maybe tag its leg with a little what is that band, so that I mark where it flies and everything, so that if I encounter again, I say, oh, okay, this is bird number 93, I have seen you before. So should I do that? And then what does it eat, so that I can lure it here, or I can go sit with it and recognize it. Maybe if I rub off it, that jnanam will rub off on me. Maybe if I pet it, the jnanam will rub off on me. So the same kind of a curiosity that we have towards some kind of a rare and endangered species, the Arjuna is displaying that same curiosity, bodhum ichha bubhutsa, towards a person of knowledge. Arjuna wants, it's very innocent. It's just like the regular person. Arjuna is not having any airs about this, and he just says, okay, I want to recognize this Jnani. You say that there is a person, that this is possible to do. Let me see who are the ones who have done it. How do they walk? How do they talk? What do they eat? What language do they speak? Do they speak only in Sanskrit? Or do they speak other languages also? And then do they speak very, very softly and slowly? Is that the hallmark of a jnani? Or do they speak in a normal speed? Or do they speak in tongues? That is also there. You go to some of these Baptist churches, and then there are some people who are skilled, and they get some messages, and they are in a trance, and they speak in tongues, which only they understand, nobody else understands. And so, do they speak in tongues? How do they speak? What language do they speak? How do they carry themselves? In other words, how will I know a jnani when I see one? And so that I can be one. The jnani I want to see is the jnani I want to be. And who am I? Arjuna says, of course, listening to you for all this, 1.5 chapters now, listening to you. And of course, I'm a jnani wannabe. I wanna be a jnani. So if I want to be a jnani, I have to look at other jnanis and see how do they behave. I also have to put my behavior in place. This is something which is very, 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 very interesting. So it's just like, it's just like doing gender. It's just like that. And so if a person is transitioning from one gender to another, they watch very closely. They watch how it is. This has all been studied by the sociologist called Garfinkel. Very, very wonderful studies have been done. And how to not overdo that particular gender in which one is transitioning into. How to not overdo it, how to not underdo it. And so this is how Arjuna is approaching it. How do I do gender? One may ask, and how do I do Atmajnanam? Atmajnanam and doing are not poles apart. In fact, doing is one's undoing. But how do I do this Atmajnanam? This is the spirit behind the question. And let us look at the meaning of this question here. Sthita prajnaha. This is not a word that is used by the Lord. This is Arjuna's own compound. The one in whom the prajna is sthira. Sthira prajna, sthita prajna. So, the one in whom the wisdom of the I is unshakable, the one who has assimilated this self-knowledge. Sthita prajnasya, of this person, for this person, ka bhasha. Ka bhasha, it does not, you can take it literally. What is the language they speak, bhasha, or how do they speak? But here, generally speaking, what are the characteristics? Ka bhasha, what's happening? What news? What's the news about this jnani? Please tell me. How do I understand this jnani? And then who is this person? Samadhisthaha. Samadhau tishtati iti samadhisthaha. The one who is abiding in samadhi. The one who is with oneself all the time. Hey Keshava, O Lord Krishna, what are the characteristics of this jnani? Sthitadhihi, the one whose buddhi. Dhihi is always short for buddhi. Okay, yeah. So sthitadhihi, sthiradhihi, same thing. Sthitadhihi kim prabhashet. In what manner does the person speak? Which person? A person who is rooted in this knowledge, steadfast in this knowledge. In what manner does he or she speak? Kim asita? How do they sit? Do they sit all sloppy like this, or do they sit straight with the head, neck, and back in a single straight line, yogic pose? What do they do? Are they a couch potato, or how do they sit? How Kim vrajeta? This Kim has to be borrowed everywhere. Kim asita? Kim prabhasheta? Vrajeta Kim? Vrajeta means how do they move? How do they walk? How do they talk? So you see here there is the desire to know the jnani is not any different from the desire to know an endangered species on part of Arjuna. Very, very, very interesting. And so this is the kind of the catch and conquer mentality, which is very normal for the mind that does not have Vedanta. But here we are not talking of a person that can be outwardly described. Because the jnani, being a jnani, is what you know, not how you eat or what you eat or what you wear. I mean, wouldn't it be easy if we were to say that everybody in a particular color, orange, everybody wearing orange is a jnani? Then we are immediately in trouble. Why? Because that includes the prison inmates. Okay, they also wear orange jumpsuits, but they are not jnanis. And that includes construction workers who are there That includes the guards that help little children cross the street to go to school. They are also in orange. And construction workers on the highway construction workers, they are also in orange, because orange is very immediate to see. It catches the eye, and that's why the orange color. But then obviously then every cone on the road is a jnani because it is orange. So that obviously that is not a good definition. That's not a good definition of a jnani. It would be easy for us to say everything in orange is jnani, but that is not the case. Oh, jnani talks slowly. This is our own prejudice. Jnani talks fast. Our own prejudice. Our own wishful thinking, spiritual romanticism. We want the jnani to be a certain way so that we can recognize him or her as the jnani. And then this, there is in the, in the story of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, a saint in India, very celebrated saint, there is a story. A stupid Shishya, we have to call this fellow stupid. What did he do? He just put some gold coins under the mattress of the Guru, of the Paramahamsa. And then he said, okay, I'm going to test the Guru. Good luck with that, okay? And then I'm going to test the Guru. Because the parameters of the tests are already problematic. What is the parameter of the test? The Guru should have no attachment to gold. And then poor Guru doesn't even know what you have kept underneath the mattress. How will he be attached or not? Because he doesn't even know what you have kept. No, this is the way. And this stupid Shishya put some coins in the mattress under the mattress of the Guru. And then watch the Guru slowly, closely as the Guru slept. Next morning, Guru, here is your tea. Oh, good, I really need it. Why? I slept terribly. And the Shishya is very, my Guru is the best. He is star best. See, he has total vairagya. Wrong test, wrong parameters, stupid conclusion. Throughout. Probably the Guru did not sleep because of those. The Guru probably had a thin mattress, and underneath that you are putting these gold coins. Maybe it was just so uncomfortable the Guru did not sleep. Whereas the person of knowledge has no love, no hatred towards anything, and that includes gold coins. Samaloftashma kanchana is elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita. The person of knowledge is going to be described as Samaloftashma kanchana, means the one who looks at a clump of clay, a stone, etc. Everything and gold in the same way. Is neither attracted towards it nor do they shun it. This is the understanding. So then we have our own. This example is not to critique anybody, but to illustrate the fact that our understanding of who should be a jnani is very, very subjective. It comes from that same infrastructure that is yearning for some kind of a perfection. And it is looking for that perfection in places where that perfection can never ever be found. In the way the person walks, in the way the person talks. And so it's a setup for disaster. It's the same way. It's almost like you put the person on the pedestal. First you have what is called Shobhana Adhyasa. And then you drag them down from the pedestal. You have Ashobhana Adhyasa. Shobhana Adhyasa means you see more than what there is in the person. And then next day, let's flip the script here a little bit. Let's say Paramahamsa Ramakrishna woke up in the morning and said, oh, that was the best night's sleep. Then what would the Shishya have done? What would he have done? He would have just been disappointed and gone away, perhaps. The loss is his. The loss is not for the Guru, the loss is for the Shishya. But these kinds of subjective projections upon the jnani is very much rampant. That's why there are people who follow the jnani for all the wrong reasons. You just do, you just say, okay, I just like how they look. That's why I'm going to follow them. They have such a royal demeanor. Well, 10 years later, the person has a slump, old age catches up, stenosis of the spine takes place, and even after yoga. And so, then what are you going to do? And then, so what? You leave that guru, you leave that jnani to go after somebody else. This is all a subjective projection upon what constitutes a jnani. And then, therefore, we have to be very, very, very careful here. And Lord Krishna, in addressing this question and answering this question, the rest of the verses, there's about 10, 12 verses through which this particular question is answered. Very, very carefully. Because if we make the error of thinking that the jnani can be discerned through our own subjective filters, then that is just wishful thinking. That is just wanting some kind of a perfection that one never had. It's the mind of a child. Everything should be okay. Why? Because in its life everything was not okay. Mother missing, father inconsistent, brother a bully, and so this is how the child grew up. Therefore it seeks perfection because there was just chaos and cacophony in the house. So therefore what will the adult child of this kind of a background will think the following. Jnani means the one who doesn't talk, mauni, fully doesn't talk. That must be jnani. Why? Because the house back home in the childhood was full of conflict, chaos, cacophony. It was like a Tower of Babel. So my idea of a jnani, and nobody says this is my idea. One thinks this is one's idea. This is the problem. So my jnani should never speak. Good luck with that, okay? All right, because then how will you, then you sit in front and say, okay, I want self-knowledge. Poor Jnani, should not speak and should give you self-knowledge. That's why Lord Dakshinamurti opted for this sign language. So then, so should never speak, should be quiet, should be calm. And then somebody who never felt a sense of love growing up, by jnani should be loving and hugging all the time. Bhagavan supplies. Bhagavan supplies all this because of that need is so much. Bhagavan supplies. But it is, that's how it is. Or, my jnani, my idea of a jnani should be the one who is very strict. Why? Because I'm strict with myself. I have an inner cop with a whistle. And so, my jnani, my idea of a jnani should also be very strict and tolerate no nonsense. This is all subjective projections. This is the mind's own vikshepa. One's own maya in the form of self-ignorance is doing the vikshepa because of the avarna of the collective of Ishvara's maya. I have my own vikshepa. So sad. But eminently removable. Self-ignorance removed. All these subjective projections upon what the jnani should look like completely go up. And so Arjuna is left in this Lord Krishna is left in this unenviable situation of how to do this. How to do this, how to show this characteristics of the jnani without feeding the fire of subjective longings on part of the person. How to give an objective definition of a jnana? Is there an objective definition of a jnana? What would that look like? How will that be described? All that we will see next week. Wait, next week? No. Next week, no class next week. I'm on my way to Rishikesh. And so it will probably, let me open the calendar. Let me see here. The next class will meet on the 28th of February, this particular class, 28th of February. In between, there is I will be leading what's its name? The President's Day weekend retreat at Arshavidya Gurukulam. It is online. And then the topic is I don't know what the topic is, something to do with Kathopanishad. Doesn't matter what the topic is. It's always A for Atma, B for Brahman. So it is. I think it's centered on the Kathopanishad, the choices one makes, etc., etc. And that will be from Friday the 17th to Monday the 20th. Will be President's Day weekend retreat. It will be available online, and then I don't have the information yet because I haven't received a call from them about where it is going to be broadcast, etc. So, but I will keep you posted. But here is a hint. Please check the website, arshavg.org. Somebody can please put the website in the chat box. And then, the 27th is the Monday? Yeah, okay. 27th. Yeah. Thank you. So this is the website. So you can please check for the link, etc., etc. And then you can also, another hint, you can also check the Arsha Vidya Peetham, Pitham, or somebody write that, Arsha Vidya Peetham YouTube channel, because it will also be probably broadcast on that. Okay. And you can check our YouTube channel as well. And so 17th to the 20th will be the President's Day weekend retreat. And then, more we will see on the 27th. This weekend, we will definitely meet with, tomorrow is Aparokshanubhuti, unchanged. And then this weekend, 11th or something, whenever that is, we will have the weekend classes also. There is Bodhasara, no Mundakopanishad, there is Bodhasara, and then there is the two Bhashya classes. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you.
Thank you so